first of all, to add to your selection using any of the tools available for selecting, our marquee tools, our lasso tool. Okay, we can add to the selection by holding down your shift key. And I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's see. My selection tool, if I hold down the shift key, you're going to notice the little plus sign appears. Okay, and so I'm able to actually click and drag with the tool, whatever tool I'm using, and if I connect it with that other selection, it adds onto that particular item. Now if I add something way out here, it still makes another hole that's available here. Okay, so if I were to take away from the selection or make it so that part of it is covered back up, then I hold down the Alt key for Windows or Option key on the Mac, and you can see the little minus sign available. So Adobe really gives us a lot of hints as to what's going on with our tools, and we like to use key commands. It really helps us to speed up our production in that way. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag into the original selection, and now that also brings it so that the other area is covered up. Okay, and I can even cover up separately from it. So what does this look like, my wonderful odd selection? So I want to take and let's just switch these colors here just so I have something, and I'm going to use go back to my paintbrush and go over it again. Okay, yeah, so this is painted into, and you can see what is covered up, what is a hole, and it allows us to modify our selection. So I'm going to leave that be for now, and we'll return to save my selection so that I can use it over. I want to move on to do a specific type of modification to the selection. Again, selections are so important that I spend quite a bit of time showing students how this works. Okay, so another method is to use the brush or the eraser tool, either of these tools right here, which is in the next section having to do with our drawing and painting tools and our correction tools. The brush tool, and then we also have an eraser tool. And those two tools we actually need to, once we are working with selections, I want to reset our foreground and background colors to black and white, because essentially what we're doing is we're using the brush as solid and the eraser to remove, and so the black and white represents that in the task we're just about to do. So you can see here where the foreground and background colors are, that there's a little black and white boxes here, and that sets it back to the default foreground and background colors, which is black and white, the white being in the background. Okay, that's really important for this task. Okay, I need to modify what I've got here because I really actually want to customize how this selection works, and I want to get that center actually in there. And this method will get me there the quickest. Okay, so we use our brush and eraser tool. We've reset the colors, and then I want to use something called the quick mask mode. Now, how can I tell what is actually masked out or protecting the pixels and what is open? Well, we have a little control down in the a quick way of finding out in the tools panel way at the bottom. You're going to notice this tool right here towards the bottom left, and it's a box with looks like a little marquee in the inside of it. What that means is we're going to switch back and forth between the marquee that you see, the dancing ants here, and actually seeing what's covered and what's open. The quick mask mode, if we click on this button here, what we'll see is, okay, a color, a solid color, and our default color is red to show what's covered up. We can see through that, but it does show us what's covered up. And then what is available to us, we just see the picture through it. Now we can change the color of what's masked out, and to do that we double click quickly on the button there, and you'll see the color. The color indicates the masked areas, and that's the default setting, which we really do stick with. The opacity is 50%. That's fine for now, and you can go back and forth between what you want to do. Now in this case, my image has a lot of reddish tones in it, so I actually want to change it to something else temporarily. So I'm going to go ahead and pick something like this purple blue and click OK. And okay, everything, it looks good to me, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK to set that into place. Yeah, that shows me what's masked a little bit quicker than the color that I originally had. Now to do this technique, I want to zoom in a little bit into the middle here. Wow, that showed me the very last thing that I had going on it, so don't worry about that. Now the brush with the black, we're not actually painting with black. I want to get a little bit of a harder brush, and you can adjust your brushes. When you select the brush tool, you have the drop-down menu here towards the top left in the options panel, and you can make some adjustments to that. Okay, hardness all the way to 100% is a very hard edge. I would like something a little softer, and what I can do is start painting over this. Now instead of painting black, it's just painting in the mask over it. And you can see here the edges are a little bit more soft. I'm going to bring that up a little bit more so that it's not quite so soft. Alright, and this allows me to customize and get in here, and as I zoom in further, you don't want to just stay so that you're zoomed out all the time. You need to zoom in sometimes to get into the details. Like I said, to maneuver your way around, if you hold down the space bar key, then we can pan around and maneuver our way around into Photoshop. So I need a little smaller brush in here. And then I can get in and customize how this mask actually looks and acts. Now I'm kind of covering up a little bit more than I'd like to. Okay. So let me I'm using the space bar key again, going back in here, alright, and making it look a little bit prettier than it was. Okay. Alright, I could go all the way around, but now I've covered up some of these little spikes here and I want to open them up. So I can use the eraser tool, and the eraser tool acts very much like, well, a brush, except we're removing pixels basically. So I have a smaller brush, and I'm going to soften it just a little bit. And to get out of this drop down menu, I really have to click somewhere in a blank area in the bar above it to get that to snap back, or click on the little arrow again to get out of that. So this actually removes those pixels. Okay. You can see me here erasing into that. Okay, not being very careful, but as you go along and as you get more skilled in this, and as you can see, I am using my spacebar key to move around, and that way I can work much more quickly. Okay, I need a smaller eraser, less pixels in this little skinny area, and I'm going to Command or Control plus so I could get in here. I can actually the reason why we want to see through the mask a little bit is I can see that. Okay, so go back to the brush tool and make it a little bit smaller. Okay, I'll show you some tricks in a later tutorial how to get it so you can flip back and forth between your brushes a little bit quicker. Okay, we like those key commands. All right, this is very specific as to how I'm working with it. So I zoomed out, and now when I get out of the quick mask mode, and again, this little edit in, I want to go back to edit in the standard mode, click on it, okay, and you can see here my mask is much more customized. So if we take a look at that, look, the marquee is following those little pixels in there. Yeah, okay, pretty cool. All right, so we're softening the edges of our brush. We're using the eraser and brush back and forth to make the selection, and then we leave the quick mask mode. Okay, finally, to keep a selection or to store it to use or to change later, because I might want to work on this and then I run out of time or I'm working on something else. I want to save that. It took a lot of work for me to customize it. Of course, I'm not done yet. I got to go back to it at some point. So I want to save it. And in this way, we are going to go to the Select drop-down menu and go all the way down until you select the Save Selection command. Okay, under Save Selection, you're going to see that our destination is actually the name of this document that you're in. And you could put it in a new document or any documents that are actually open. You can save the selection to a different document. Usually you're saving it to the document you're in. What are we doing? We're storing actually our selection into what we call a channel, and we'll learn more about channels when we get into talking about layers and some of the tutorials on more specific selections. Now I want to name my selection. Let's say I want it to be flower, I don't know, this is a plant or a flower or something like that. Flower center, if I spell it correctly. Anyway, so operation is, well, this is what I have available, new channel. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and to deselect, Command D can deselect my selection, or you can even go to Select, Deselect. There's your key commands right there, by the way. And okay, where did my selection go? What if I want it back? Where did it go? So I want to go into, take a look at your layers panel to the right hand side, and I actually want to go into what is docked with it, the channels. This is where our color is stored, and look at that, the flower center, it's stored right there, and it's kind of like just this black and white, and that's what our little stencil is. Okay, so what do I do now? How do I get that back? Okay, well, it's stored here, and if I want to get my selection back, and maybe I want to modify it again, go back to the Select drop-down menu. This is one way to do it, and go to select Load Selection. Okay, then it gets us this pop-up menu. We look for the channel. I've got it named Flower Center. It's the only one I have, but many times over I have lots and lots of channels. Go ahead and click OK, and there my selection is back. Okay, I'm going to deselect this one more time, and the other way to select it really easily is if you have your channels open and you see your channel there. Let's take a look closer in. Okay, if I hold down either my Command on a Macintosh or the Control key on Windows, you see how that has changed there to seeing the marquee? All I have to do is click right on that little channel, the thumbnail icon, and look, there is my selection back into place. Okay, that's it about selection.